Hey Stampers, Kim here. Thank you for joining me today. I wanted to share with you a quick and easy card I'm making for this week's Papercraft Crew Sketch, and it's a nice simple sketch. So I've already done a little bit of stuff on the card, and I thought I would share in, for my technique of the week, a watercolor like drop-in method. And what I've done is I've got a piece of watercolor cardstock that is cut at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I am going to trim this down when I'm done because the card sketch calls for a tiny piece of either pattern paper or a stencil or a strip of washi tape or something along the side, so I will definitely do that. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken a stamp set from one of my Catherine Pooler sets, and this one is called, I think it's called Beautiful You. Yes, it is. It's called Beautiful You. I've had this for a while, and I've used it a few times. I really love the sentiments Beautiful You and Love Always. I like how loose it is. I find this one really fun for watercoloring. So using my Mini Misty, I already embossed 3 images. In white, I embossed the large floral. I have this little, I'm not sure what this is. I'm going to make it a leaf on my card, and then this looks like a frond, like something like that. So I've already heat embossed that in white along here, and then the sentiment, Beautiful You, is heat embossed in black. So I've already done that. I used my Versamark ink, black embossing powder, and white embossing powder, and all I'm going to do now is some watercoloring. And I'm actually going to use one of my bigger round brushes for this, just because I like my big round brushes. So I've got those, and I've got a bunch of little mini cubes of Altenew inks that I got with kits or something, and they come in sets of 4, or I got them in sets of 4, and these colors are the colors that actually blend beautifully together. I love these blue colors, so I thought I would do something with blue. Maybe I'll just stick with that. I'll do blue and green, and we'll see what we can come up with. So I want some water and a paper towel. And I've got my silicone craft matte, or Teflon. I think this is actually Teflon, I'm not really sure. I've had it forever. It's one of those Tim Holtz ones, and I bought it when he was on Carol Duvall many, many years ago, back in the 90s. So I love this set. This is Galactic Stream, Teal Cave, and Aqualicious and Dewdrops. So I'm going to start with Aqualicious, and I want to add some darker. I want to do some dark and light stuff. And then I think I might add, maybe I'll add a tiny bit of red to give me some purple. And then I'll pick Hunter Green and Sweet Leaf. These two I'm feeling these two today. Okay, and I have Warm Sunshine also if I decide I want to add some yellow. Okay, now I'm doing a watercolor resist technique, and I want to keep everything inside my flowers. So I'm going to start with the big one, and I'm just going to add water to these. And the beautiful thing, and I'm just adding water to the insides so that I can drop color in. And I know you probably can't see the embossing, but as soon as I start dropping some color in, you will see it. And if I don't go outside the lines, then the paint won't go outside the lines either. And actually, I'm not really using paint technically, I'm going to use the inks. And this is a fun technique. So I'm going to start with the light blue. Ooh. And this is again Dewdrops, and I'm going to put a bunch of that on my mat, and then I'm going to put some of this Galactic Stream. Ooh, pretty, pretty, pretty. My favorite color is the Teal Cave. And then I'm going to take my Distress Sprayer and I'm just going to spritz this till it bubbles. I'm going to make sure my brush is nice and wet. Okay, I'm using a number 8, which is a pretty good size. It's not my biggest one, but it's a pretty good size round brush. So I'm just going to wet that in some clean water, and I'm going to start with the light color, and I'm just going to drop that in. Sort of around the inside edges of each of the petals. I'm going to clean my brush off a little bit, and then I'm going to go, and I don't have to clean off my brush because now I'm going into the darker color, and I'm going to drop some of that into the center and see what happens. Okay, and the water, oops, the water will actually do all the mixing work for me here. Now, I'm going to see, I kind of would not hate to see, I'm going to push it along here because it's not getting to all the edges. I want to get color to all my edges. Okay, I just want to add some water here and make sure I'm taking it to the edges of all the petals. You can see the color sort of wick over as I add a little bit more water, which I think is a super cool effect. Okay, now add a little more to this one. Okay, now while that's doing its thing, now I just want to let that dry. I'm going to do a similar thing with the leaves. Oh, this one feels like I haven't opened it before. Okay, so this is the light sweet leaf, and then the darker hunter, and I don't really need too much of this because the leaves are pretty small. And I might actually, I almost squirted myself in the face there. I might actually want a smaller brush for these colors because these are pretty small little places that I'm going to color. And the thing about these images is that they're not closed all the way around. That was way too much. They're not closed all the way around, so the potential for the water coming out of them is big. Especially that one at the top. Okay, so again, I'm going to add some of the light color. To both of these. Just sort of drop it in, and you can see the water moves it around. If you don't have enough water, you can add more water. There's not a lot of space in these little loops. In fact, this one definitely went out. I'm just going to kind of wick it up with the little corner of a paper towel. Clean off my brush a little bit, take a little bit of the darker, and I would like the darker toward the bases of these. Okay. Now I just need to let that dry, or I can dry it with my paintbrush. I can dry it with my heat tool. Okay, so now I'm just going to let that dry. So my watercard front dried, and I love the way this came out. I'm glad I didn't add any red. I just really like the way that came out. I think it just blended so beautifully. The water did the work. I don't even have it all the way to all the edges. I'm okay with that. I think that it looks like mixed frosting or something. I don't know. It looks really pretty. So what I have here is I have a 4 1/4 by 11 piece of white cardstock. I scored it at 5 1/2. And then I have this cute Doodlebug Design washi tape. This is Beetle Black Swiss Dot. I love this. I actually left it on this so I would know which one it was, because I know I'll want to order more of this. So I put a strip of that down the side because that's what the card sketch calls for. You can see the card sketch on my blog at stampingimperfection.com on Wednesday morning. And I need to trim this down a little bit because I need a little bit of that showing. So I'm going to bring my cutter over and I'm just going to trim down a little bit of the side. And let's see how close I can get to that sentiment without removing the sentiment. Oops. Okay, so that gave me 1/4 of an inch, which only leaves that much. Might take a smidge more off this side. Maybe I'll take about 1/8 off this side, and then I'm going to cut a little bit off this side. Although I have to say that is painful to do, since I like the way it turned out, but it didn't take too much off, and sometimes that looks nice. And this might be one of them. So since I've used watercolor paper, it always has a little bit of a bend to it, although this isn't too bad actually. And this is super dry, and I cleaned this off. So make sure you clean this off before you turn your card front over like this. And I'm going to add some of this 3M foam tape, which I got actually from an electrical supply company. And I put a bunch of this on to really flatten out that, to make sure that card's front is really flattened out. So this will take the kinks out of it. And I like to put a couple pieces across here. There we go. That makes that nice and flat. And for my final touch, I would like to add, I have two things I really like. I like these iridescent sequins. Ooh, that's super pretty. These are from Neat and Tangled, and they're called like Magic Mix. And then I have these Studio Katia iridescent bubbles. This is a hard choice. I'm going to go with the bubbles this time. I almost always go with those sequins. Okay, so I'm going to put 3. Oops, and they're actually 3 different sizes. I'm using this multimedia mat. Okay, there we go. That completes my card for this week's Papercraft Crew. Check out my blog at stampingimperfection.com. Give this video a like, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and share with your friends. Thanks for watching.